Before we start, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you're fighting your hardest battles completely alone? Like you're showing up every day, trying your best, but no one really notices? If yes, then this video is for you, because there comes a point in life when you realize a hard truth. Most people don't truly care about your struggles, not because they're bad people, but because everyone is busy, dealing with their own problems. And listen to me carefully. The moment you accept this truth, everything in your life begins to shift. If you're someone who's tired of expecting support, tired of explaining yourself, tired of feeling disappointed by people, make sure you watch this video till the end, because what you're about to hear might change how you see everything. But before we go deeper, if you've ever felt misunderstood, ignored, or alone on your journey, like this video right now, it helps this message reach people who need it the most. And if you want more honest, real talks about mindset, growth, and inner strength, subscribe to the channel, because we don't sugarcoat reality here. We face it. Now let's talk about the truth no one prepares you for. You can be going through the hardest phase of your life, smiling on the outside and breaking on the inside, and the world will keep moving like nothing happened. At first, that realization hurts. It makes you question yourself. It makes you wonder why no one shows up. But here's what most people never realize. The pain isn't caused by people not caring. It's caused by expecting them to care. And once you let go of those expectations, you stop draining your energy on people and start investing it in yourself. This video isn't about becoming cold or heartless. It's about becoming strong, aware, and emotionally independent. So stay with me. Don't skip this, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why accepting that no one cares isn't depressing at all. It's the moment everything shifts. Asterisk. One of the hardest truths to accept in life is this. Most people don't really care about what you're going through. At first, this realization feels painful. You expect understanding, you expect support, you expect someone to notice when you're struggling, and when that doesn't happen, you start questioning yourself. You wonder if you're not important enough, if you don't matter, or if something is wrong with you. But the truth is much simpler and more honest. People aren't ignoring you because you lack value. They're ignoring you because they're overwhelmed with their own lives. Everyone is carrying invisible weight, responsibilities, fears, financial stress, family problems, mental battles, things you may never see. That's why expecting people to consistently show up for your pain often leads to disappointment. This reality feels harsh, but it's freeing once you accept it. Because when you stop expecting others to care deeply about your struggles, you stop giving them control over your emotions. You stop waiting for messages. You stop hoping someone will save you. You stop feeling crushed when support doesn't come. Instead, you begin to rely on yourself. Acceptance doesn't make you cold or bitter. It makes you grounded. You realize that emotional strength comes from within, not from external validation. When you accept that people are limited in time, energy, and emotional capacity, you stop personalizing their absence. And that shift changes everything. Your disappointments become fewer. Your emotional reactions become calmer. Your focus moves from people to personal growth. You learn to take responsibility for your own emotional survival. That doesn't mean you stop caring about others. It means you stop depending on them to carry your weight. Life becomes lighter when you stop expecting it to be fair. Reality is harsh, yes, but it's also honest, and honesty builds strength. Once you accept this truth, you no longer feel lost when no one shows up for you. You stand stronger because you've learned to stand on your own. Most people believe that other people hurt them, but in reality, it's not people, it's expectations. We expect others to understand us without explaining. We expect support when we're struggling. We expect loyalty, effort, and appreciation in return for what we give. And when those expectations aren't met, pain follows. The problem isn't that people fail us. The problem is that we quietly assume they won't. Expectations give people power over our emotions. When someone doesn't call, you feel ignored. When they don't support you, you feel rejected. When they don't understand you, you feel invalidated. But here's the truth. Most people never agreed to carry your emotional weight. They don't wake up thinking about your needs the way you do. And that doesn't make them bad, it makes them human. When you expect people to show up in a certain way, you create a silent contract in your mind. And when they break a contract they never signed, you suffer. This is why expectations drain you emotionally. They keep you attached to outcomes you can't control. They make your mood dependent on how others behave. They turn simple situations into emotional wounds. But the moment you reduce expectations, your peace increases. You stop reacting so deeply. You stop taking everything personally. You stop feeling disappointed all the time. This doesn't mean you stop having standards. Standards are healthy. Expectations, when unspoken and unrealistic, are not. When you accept that people will act according to their own capacity, you begin to protect your energy. You give without attachment. You care without demand. You show up without keeping score, and that's powerful. Letting go of expectations doesn't make life empty, it makes it lighter. You stop feeling hurt over things that were never promised. You stop bleeding emotionally over small behaviors. You start responding instead of reacting. Once expectations lose their grip on you, people lose the power to control your inner world. And that's when real emotional freedom begins. Asterisk. One of the most powerful shifts happens the moment you stop seeking validation from others. When you constantly look for approval, compliments, or reassurance, your sense of self becomes dependent on external sources. Your happiness, confidence, and even your decisions start to rely on what others think. Think about it. How often have you held back on your dreams, your actions, or your opinions because you worried about what people might say? How many times have you doubted yourself because someone didn't recognize your effort? Validation creates a subtle but strong form of control. If someone praises you, you feel confident. If they ignore you, you feel small. If they criticize you, you feel broken. And this constant emotional roller coaster is exhausting. The moment you accept that no one truly cares the way you do, you stop giving people that power. You stop measuring your worth through likes, compliments, or attention. You stop depending on someone else's approval to feel whole. This doesn't mean you become arrogant or cold. It means your self-esteem becomes internal. Your confidence comes from your actions, your discipline, and your own values, not from someone else's recognition. You start making decisions based on what feels right for you, not based on what others might think. You stop over-explaining yourself. You stop justifying your choices. You stop bending to fit expectations that weren't yours to begin with. This is freedom in its purest form. You become self-reliant emotionally. You build inner strength that no one can take away. Once you stop seeking validation, you also notice a subtle change. The people who genuinely care will stay, but the ones who don't were never meant to influence your happiness anyway. You stop chasing empty approval and start chasing real growth. You stop needing a crowd to cheer for you, because the most important cheerleader is now you. And here's the truth, this shift is life-changing. Your mindset becomes stronger, your focus becomes sharper, and your energy is no longer wasted on trying to win the approval of people who are too busy to notice in the first place. Stopping the search for validation isn't easy at first, but it's one of the most empowering things you can do in your life. It's a shift that changes how you see yourself and how you show up in the world. Once you stop seeking validation and lower your expectations from others, something remarkable begins to happen. You develop emotional independence. Emotional independence means that your sense of peace, happiness, and confidence is no longer controlled by people or circumstances outside of you. Think about it. When someone ignores you, disappoints you, or criticizes you, most people react emotionally. They get hurt, frustrated, or angry. Their mood swings with the actions of others. Their stability depends on the behavior of people around them. But when emotional independence is developed, you no longer react in the same way. You feel upset less often. You feel less stressed when people fail you. You no longer carry the weight of others' opinions on your shoulders. This shift doesn't happen overnight. It begins with small realizations. You notice that people are living their own lives, that support may not always come, and that your energy is finite. Instead of waiting for others to uplift you, you learn to uplift yourself. You learn to validate your own effort. You learn to comfort yourself during difficult moments. You learn to celebrate your wins alone. And that is powerful. Emotional independence also gives you clarity. You stop being influenced by drama, gossip, or toxic relationships. You see the world clearly without colored expectations. You stop overthinking why someone didn't text back, or why someone isn't supporting you. And here's the most important part. Emotional independence doesn't make you lonely. It doesn't make you heartless. It makes you strong. It gives you freedom. You start living for your own growth instead of living to please others. You stop comparing your journey to theirs. You stop depending on applause to feel good about yourself. You become your own rock, your own anchor. The people who truly belong in your life will support you naturally, but now their presence becomes a bonus, not a requirement. In short, emotional independence is a life-changing shift. It transforms disappointment into peace, dependence into strength, and isolation into freedom. Once this independence is fully realized, you stop needing the world to approve of you, because you have become enough for yourself. Asterisk. Once you accept that no one really cares the way you do, and once emotional independence begins to grow, something incredible happens. Your focus naturally shifts. Instead of worrying about what people think, or seeking approval, attention, or sympathy, your energy is now directed toward your goals, your growth, and your purpose. This shift is subtle at first. You stop overanalyzing texts, reactions, and opinions. You stop asking yourself, did they notice what I did? Or, do they care enough? And in that absence of distraction, clarity emerges. You start prioritizing your actions not for applause, but for results. You start building habits, discipline, and consistency because it serves your life, not someone else's approval. This shift is more powerful than most people realize. When your focus is on people, energy is wasted. You spend time, emotions, and attention on things beyond your control. You care too much about outcomes that aren't yours to manage. But when your focus moves to purpose, every action becomes intentional. Every effort becomes an investment in yourself. Every small step matters because it brings you closer to your goals. And here's the beauty of it. When you live for your purpose, rather than others' validation, life becomes simpler. You stop being frustrated by people's indifference. You stop feeling resentful about a lack of recognition. You stop comparing your journey to theirs. This is how high achievers operate, not by waiting for someone to notice or support them, but by immersing themselves in work, self-growth, and purpose. Their energy is protected. Their vision is clear. Their results are unstoppable at this stage. You also realize another truth. People who truly belong in your life will naturally align with your purpose. They won't dictate it or distract you. They will support it, quietly or actively. In short, when you stop focusing on people and start focusing on purpose, you unlock freedom, clarity, and progress. Your life is no longer driven by reactions or opinions. It is driven by intention. And that is when everything starts to shift. One of the most powerful lessons in life comes when you realize that no one is going to carry your emotional weight for you. At first, this truth feels lonely. You may wish someone would check on you, notice your struggles, or offer comfort. But the reality is simple. Support begins with yourself. Learning to support yourself is not about becoming isolated or indifferent. It's about becoming your own safety net. It's about being the first person to care for yourself before seeking it from anyone else. When no one is cheering for you, you learn to cheer for yourself. When no one is comforting you, you learn to comfort yourself. When no one believes in your abilities, you learn to believe in your own potential. This process builds an inner strength that is unshakable. External validation becomes secondary because your foundation comes from within, not from someone else. Supporting yourself also means taking responsibility for your own growth. You stop blaming others for setbacks, disappointments, or failures. You stop waiting for motivation, encouragement, or recognition. You create the energy yourself. You push yourself forward, and you celebrate even the smallest wins on your own. It's not easy at first. It takes discipline, patience, and courage. But slowly, you start noticing the shift. You become resilient to rejection, immune to unnecessary criticism, and calmer in the face of challenges. Supporting yourself also improves your relationships. You stop expecting others to fix your problems or validate your worth. You engage with people from a place of strength rather than need. This creates healthier, more balanced connections. The most successful and emotionally strong people are often those who learned this lesson early. They faced challenges alone, built their own support systems internally, and never relied on others for their happiness or confidence. By learning to support yourself, you gain independence, clarity, and control over your life. You are no longer at the mercy of other people's moods, attention, or opinions. And here's the ultimate truth. Once you master self-support, you realize that life doesn't feel so heavy anymore. You feel capable, empowered, and unstoppable. Because the only validation you truly need, the only support that truly matters, comes from yourself. This is where real freedom and strength are born. And it's one of the most crucial shifts on the journey to becoming unshakable. Asterisk, once you accept that no one truly cares the way you do, and once you start supporting yourself emotionally, another powerful shift happens. You stop over-explaining yourself. Most people spend a huge portion of their lives trying to justify their choices, their feelings, or their actions. They constantly explain why they're upset, why they failed, or why they acted a certain way. They hope someone will understand, approve, or forgive them. But here's the truth. People rarely care enough to fully understand. Expecting them to is a recipe for frustration, disappointment, and wasted energy. When you stop over-explaining, you stop giving your energy away unnecessarily. You no longer try to manage how others perceive you. You no longer feel obligated to prove yourself every single day. This shift doesn't make you arrogant, it makes you confident. It shows that you trust your own judgment and don't need external validation to feel at peace with your choices. When you stop over-explaining, you also gain clarity. Your thoughts become quieter. Your emotions become steadier. Your mind focuses on what truly matters. Instead of being tangled in the opinions and judgments of others, imagine living without the constant pressure of having to justify yourself. Imagine making decisions freely, without thinking about whether someone will approve. Imagine feeling calm even when others misunderstand you. This is what happens when you stop over-explaining. Another subtle benefit is that people start respecting you more. When you stop over-explaining, your words carry more weight. You communicate with intention, not defensiveness. Your presence becomes stronger, quieter, and more commanding. This is a natural result of accepting reality. When you understand that no one is required to care about your life the way you do, you realize that the only person who truly needs to understand is yourself. You learn to act from a place of inner conviction, not fear of judgment. You stop asking, will they get it? And instead, you ask, does this align with my values, my growth, and my purpose? In short, stopping the habit of over-explaining yourself frees up your mind, your energy, and your emotional space. It allows you to live with confidence, independence, and clarity. And it's a shift that many people never experience, but once you do, everything in your life begins to shift as well. One of the most powerful truths about growth is that strength is often forged in isolation. When you accept that no one truly cares the way you do, and when you stop relying on validation or support, you begin to face life on your own terms. At first, this feels uncomfortable. It can feel lonely. It can feel like you are missing guidance, encouragement, or companionship. But here's the secret. It is in these quiet, lonely moments that the strongest minds are shaped. When no one is watching, when no one is cheering, you are forced to confront your fears, doubts, and weaknesses alone. And when you face them without distraction, you develop resilience. Isolation teaches discipline. It teaches you to focus, to take responsibility, and to push yourself when there is no one else pushing you. It teaches you that your success does not depend on anyone else. It depends entirely on your own effort, consistency, and perseverance. Think about it. Some of the most successful people in the world did not wait for support or recognition. They worked in silence, learned from failures without validation, and built their skills and character while no one was paying attention. When you embrace solitude, you also discover clarity. Without external noise, without expectations from others, you can think clearly, plan effectively, and act intentionally. This is why strength built in isolation is permanent. It doesn't rely on applause, attention, or approval. It survives criticism, failure, and setbacks because it is self-reliant. Isolation also teaches you patience and self-trust. You learn that you can rely on yourself in difficult times. You discover your capacity to endure challenges, and that realization alone gives you confidence no external support can ever provide. Importantly, this does not mean you become cold or avoid relationships. It means you become strong enough to be yourself, even when no one notices, even when no one cares. It means you are no longer dependent on others for growth or happiness. Strength in isolation is a gift disguised as solitude. It is the foundation of independence, resilience, and unshakable confidence. And once you experience it, you realize why accepting that no one cares is not depressing, it is liberating. Because when no one supports you, you learn to support yourself. And that is where true strength is born. Asterisk, one of the most misunderstood lessons of life is this. Accepting that no one truly cares the way you do does not make you cold or heartless. In fact, it can make you more compassionate, but in a very different way. Once you stop expecting people to validate you or support you, you begin to care without attachment. Most people care with strings attached. They give love, attention, or support only when they get something in return: approval, gratitude, or recognition. And that's what creates pain. When you love or give, but expect reciprocity, you set yourself up for disappointment. But when you accept the truth that no one is obligated to care, you can give freely. You can help others without expecting applause. You can love without expecting the same energy in return. This kind of care is different. It is strong, mature, and liberating. It comes from choice, not need. It comes from strength, not dependence. You begin to understand the beauty of giving silently, of acting without showing off, of helping without waiting for recognition. This also changes the way you interact with relationships. You stop clinging to people who don't care. You stop seeking validation from friends, family, or colleagues. You stop trying to force connections that were never meant to exist. At the same time, you remain kind, loving, and generous. But now your energy is protected. Your actions are intentional, not desperate. Your care is a reflection of your strength, not a reflection of your neediness. Caring without attachment also makes your emotional state more stable. You are no longer crushed when people don't reciprocate. You are no longer dependent on approval for happiness. This is the balance between empathy and self. It is one of the highest forms of emotional intelligence, and it only comes when you stop expecting people to care the way you do. So the lesson is simple. You can still be loving and compassionate. You can still give and help, but your peace does not depend on others. When you reach this point, you experience a sense of freedom few ever achieve. You care deeply, but you are no longer controlled by attachment, and that, more than anything, is true emotional liberation. The final and most powerful shift comes when you fully accept that no one cares the way you do. You take complete responsibility for your life. Before this realization, it's easy to fall into a trap. You blame others for your failures, your frustrations, or your disappointments. You wait for someone to support you, guide you, or validate your efforts. And when they don't, you feel helpless, stuck, or resentful. But once you accept the truth that no one is obligated to carry you, stop waiting. You stop blaming. You stop giving away your power to other people's actions, opinions, or indifference. This is where true freedom begins. Your life is no longer at the mercy of someone else's mood, attention, or approval. You realize that the only person responsible for your growth, your happiness, and your success is you. Taking full responsibility means making conscious choices every day. It means showing up for yourself, even when it's hard. It means working on your goals, improving your mindset, and protecting your energy without expecting help or recognition. It also means embracing discomfort. You will face setbacks, criticism, and failures. No one will always be there to guide you, encourage you, or reassure you. But instead of complaining, you use these challenges as fuel for growth. The moment you take responsibility, your mindset changes. You stop waiting for life to hand you opportunities. You stop hoping someone will rescue you from your struggles. You stop making excuses and start taking action consistently, relentlessly, and with purpose. This shift is empowering because it transforms how you view your life. You stop feeling like a victim of circumstances. You stop giving your power to people who don't care, and you start creating the life you want on your terms. Taking full responsibility also builds confidence. When you succeed, you know it's because of your effort. When you overcome obstacles, you know it's because you refuse to rely on anyone else. You are no longer dependent on luck, recognition, or external support. Your life is shaped by your decisions, discipline, and resilience. In the end, accepting that no one cares is not depressing. It is liberating, because once you stop expecting the world to save you, you learn to save yourself. And that is the ultimate shift that transforms your life completely. Asterisk. So here's the truth I want you to leave with today. Life doesn't pause for your struggles. People won't always notice your effort. And most of the time, the support you're looking for simply won't come. At first, that might sound harsh. It might even feel unfair. But here's the secret. The moment you accept it, the moment you stop depending on others for validation, approval, or care, everything starts to shift. You become stronger. You become independent. You become unstoppable. You learn to support yourself. You stop You focus on purpose, not approval. You build strength in silence, resilience in isolation, and freedom without attachment. And the most important part, you take full responsibility for your life. You stop blaming others. You stop waiting for someone to save you. You finally realize that your life is in your hands, and only yours. So if this video resonated with you, I want you to do 3 things right now. Like this video if you feel empowered by these truths. Subscribe for more real, no-nonsense content about mindset, growth, and life lessons. Comment below what truth hit you the most today, and how you're going to apply it in your life. Remember, accepting that no one cares isn't depressing, it's liberating. It's the moment you stop waiting for life to change, and start changing your life yourself. Stay focused, stay disciplined, stay unshakable. Because once you take control, once you embrace this truth, everything truly shifts.